man decides to clone his wife after her sudden death, hoping to bring her back. However, as he goes through her memories, he uncovers a shocking secret. His wife wasn't who he thought she was. In fact, she wasn't a woman at all, but a man. For years, she had kept this hidden from him. As the man stares at the evidence, he is left in disbelief, struggling to understand how he never knew this truth. How could she have kept such a huge secret from him all these years? The story begins aboard the International Space Station, where Dr. Nun, an astronaut and doctor, is conducting an experiment. She is working on a groundbreaking project involving 3D printing hearts, aiming to create fully functional human hearts. If the experiment succeeds, it would be a game changer for patients in need of heart transplants. They would no longer have to wait for someone else to pass away to receive a heart. Instead, new hearts could be printed specifically for their needs. After 3 years of continuous experimentation, Nun finally achieves success today. Her efforts culminate in the complete revival of a 3D printed heart. Overjoyed, she immediately contacts her husband, Nort, through a video call to share the exciting news. As the call connects, both Nun and Nort greet each other warmly, with their family, including their dog, Harvey, visible in the background. Nun expresses her deep gratitude to Nort, telling him that without his unwavering support, she would never have made it to space, and it's because of him that she was able to fulfill her dream. Nun is scheduled to return home next week. However, as the week passes, tragedy strikes. While en route back, Nun's shuttle encounters a fatal issue and explodes in space, claiming her life. The world mourns as her funeral is held, and her body is preserved for 100 days. Nort, devastated by her loss, struggles to cope with the heart-wrenching reality that his wife is gone. He spends countless hours immersed in old memories, often retreating into the virtual realm where he can relive moments from their past. He recalls the day they first met. Nort, an architect, had his artwork displayed at an exhibition that showcased architectural designs. One of his pieces, a painting of a small, cozy house on the moon, with Earth visible in the distance, catches Nun's eye. Nort explains the inspiration behind the painting, sharing that the exhibition's theme was focused on establishing a colony on the moon. He had designed the house to evoke a sense of warmth and comfort for those who would live there. The idea was that while lunar settlers would be far from Earth, they would still feel connected to home, easing the inevitable homesickness with a space that felt familiar and inviting. Nun, with a gentle smile, tells Nort that in the future, his vision will prove to be correct. A colony will be established on the moon, and if she ever gets the opportunity to go, she would love to live in the very house he had designed. This sparks a deep bond between them, and over time their friendship grows into a beautiful marriage. Years later, after Nun's passing, Nort cannot escape the memories of his beloved wife. He repeatedly watches their wedding video, reliving those precious moments. However, there's a heartbreaking scene in one of the videos. Their dog, Harvey, has passed away, and Nun is seen crying uncontrollably. Yet in the present moment, Harvey is still alive, and the sight of him brings a sudden, powerful idea to Nort's mind. The very next day, he visits an AI cloning company specializing in the cloning of animals. The company promises that if a beloved pet dies, their owners won't have to endure the pain of loss, as they can have a clone created. Nort soon realizes that Harvey's clone had been made after his original death. The lead scientist at the company is V, an old friend of both Nort and Nun. Nort explains his desperate need to the team, confessing that he cannot live without Nun. He shares his intention to take the same route that he did for Harvey, but this time, he wishes to create a clone of Nun. V, stunned by Nort's request, immediately refuses, pointing out that cloning humans is illegal. Nort, however, persistently explains, pouring his heart out. He tells V that Nun's experiment was groundbreaking, and no one else could carry it out the way she could. If her work succeeds, it could save countless lives, revolutionizing healthcare. He insists that creating her clone is essential for the continuation of her research and its potential impact on the world. V, overwhelmed by Nort's plea, pauses and recalls one of her old lectures, where she and Nun had first introduced the world to the concept of the 3D printed heart. It was a momentous occasion, and the idea had generated worldwide excitement. V begins to see Nort's point. She reflects on the significance of the 3D printed heart. It had the potential to save millions of lives. No longer would patients have to wait for someone else to die to receive a heart transplant. Even more importantly, the heart could be made from the patient's own cells, tailored to their specific needs, making it much more compatible with their body and reducing the chances of rejection. However, despite the promise, the concept had faced obstacles. The idea of 3D printing organs had been unsuccessful on Earth, primarily due to gravity. The pressure from Earth's gravity caused the cells to become flattened, preventing the organ from functioning correctly. But after 5 years of extensive research, the company had decided to move the experiment into space, where the absence of gravity allowed for a much more successful process. This was where Nun's research had been critical. She was working on this exact experiment in space, where they could print the hearts with proper cell structure. Nun's contribution had taken the experiment further than anyone had imagined. Realizing how crucial Nun's work was, V's hesitation starts to fade. After much thought and hesitation, V finally agrees to go ahead with the cloning of Nun. However, she explains that the first step is to retrieve Nun's body, which has been preserved in cryosleep by her parents. V tells Nort that he will need to get permission from her parents before they can proceed. She explains that once the body is secured, they will separate Nun's brain, scan it, and transfer her memories into an AI. These memories will then be uploaded to the clone, ensuring that the new version of Nun will have the same memories and personality as the original. V emphasizes that time is critical and they cannot waste any more time. The following day, Nort visits Nun's parents to request their approval. When he tells them about his plan to clone Nun, they are shocked and deeply upset. Nun's sister argues that in order to create a perfect clone, many clones would fail in the process, and those failures would mean that Nun would die multiple times before achieving a successful clone. She insists that allowing this would be wrong and cruel, as Nun would have to go through repeated deaths. Nun's mother, grieving, speaks up, saying that Nun has already passed on to a better place, and they should not disturb her rest by bringing her back. The room fills with tension as they argue, with Nun's parents firmly refusing Nort's request. They tell him to leave, not willing to entertain the idea any longer. Nun's father, a former high-ranking military officer, is particularly adamant, his authoritative voice echoing through the room as he insists that they must let Nun be. With heavy heart, Nort leaves their home, feeling the weight of their refusal. But his mission is far from over. Without wasting time, Nort heads straight to the hospital where Nun's body is kept. He demands that the hospital staff return her body to him so the cloning process can begin. However, the hospital staff refuse to comply. It soon becomes clear that Nun's father had already anticipated Nort's request. Before his death, he had made arrangements with the hospital, warning them not to release Nun's body to anyone, especially Nort. The staff, following these instructions, deny Nort access to her body, leaving him feeling frustrated and helpless. After Nort leaves the hospital, the staff immediately contacts Nun's father to inform him about the disturbance caused by Nort's visit. The news makes Nun's father even more determined. He decides that he will not wait the full 100 days to keep his daughter's body preserved. Instead, the next day, he plans to take her body to the temple and cremate it. However, that very night, Nort returns to the hospital with a new plan. He triggers the emergency fire alarm, setting off a panic throughout the hospital. As everyone rushes to handle the chaos, Nort uses the confusion to sneak into the ward where Nun's body is stored. Seeing his wife's body again in such a state overwhelms him with grief, and he breaks down in tears. After a moment, he pulls himself together, carefully taking her body and making his way to V's lab. When V learns what Nort has done, she is furious. She scolds him for breaking numerous laws and putting everything at risk. Still, V understands the urgency and the love Nort has for Nun, so she reluctantly agrees to help. She begins the process of scanning Nun's brain to upload her memories into the AI, telling Nort it will take several days to carefully go through every memory. V advises Nort to go home for the night and rest, as the process would take at least 3 or 4 days. But later that night, V urgently calls him back to the lab. She's discovered something strange while scanning Nun's brain. There are unexpected memories and secrets hidden deep within. These discoveries are puzzling, and neither V nor Nort had any idea that these hidden parts of Nun's past existed. As V and Nort dig deeper, they uncover more startling truths. Nun had a whole other world that Nort knew nothing about, secrets about her life, her work, and perhaps even things she hadn't shared with him. Nort is stunned by these revelations, his emotions overwhelmed by the shock of learning things he never imagined. He finds himself torn, grappling with the question of whether to continue with the cloning process or to stop it altogether. Unable to make a decision, Nort returns home, confused and heartbroken. In the middle of the night, Nort hears the sound of police sirens, likely on their way to arrest him. Panicking, he quickly calls V and asks her to create a clone, but not of Nun. Instead, he wants a clone based on the other memories he discovered, the secrets about Nun's past. The scene cuts here, and soon after, the police arrive and arrest Nort. He is sentenced to 3 years in prison. 3 years later, the story picks up again. Nort is released from jail, and as he steps out, a man approaches him. To Nort's shock, the man introduces himself as Nort. This revelation leaves him stunned, and the plot begins to unfold. The memories that Nort uncovered 3 years ago, which shocked and confused him, are now revealed to the audience. It turns out that when Nun was growing up, she didn't feel comfortable in her own body. She didn't want to be a girl and felt like she was meant to be a boy. She couldn't connect with with being a girl and longed to change her gender. When Nun's parents found out about this, they put a lot of pressure on her to conform, mainly because they were worried about how society would view them. Feeling trapped by her parents' expectations, Nun decided to go along with being a girl, even though deep down, she still saw herself as a boy. In the memories, Nort discovers that Nun had often disguised herself as a boy, and these memories shock him deeply. The problem now is that the AI, which was scanning Nun's brain, is confused. It can't decide whether Nun was a girl or a boy because of the conflicting memories. Nort and V are faced with a difficult decision. They must choose one of these identities for Nun. If they choose the girl, Nun will appear as a girl, but deep down, she will still think of herself as a boy. If they choose the boy, Nort will never get his wife back, as Nun would never fully be the woman he loved. Nort, feeling betrayed and shocked, starts to believe that Nun has deceived him. He feels that she never truly loved him, and her true self was hidden behind a lie. Overcome with emotion, he cries, unable to handle the shock. V, who had known Nun well as both a scientist and a friend, tries to comfort Nort. She explains that when Nun was alive, Nort never doubted her love because it was genuine. She tells him that just because Nun wanted to be a boy doesn't mean her love was false. Some people just want different things in life and they grow apart, but that doesn't take away from the love they shared. V further explains that Nun loved Nort deeply and always saw him as a safe place where she could truly be herself. Her desire to change wasn't about betraying Nort, it was just a part of who she was. It didn't mean that her love for him was any less real. After hearing V's words, Nort returns home with a heavy heart, unsure of what to do. He spends a long time reflecting on his memories with Nun and realizes that, whether Nun was a boy or a girl, she means everything to him. Just then, he hears the sound of sirens approaching, and he calls V. He tells her that the police are coming to arrest him, but to go ahead and start the cloning process. However, instead of cloning Nun as she was, he asks her to make the clone as a boy, as that's what Nun had always wanted. Fast forward 3 years, Nort is released from jail, and a man approaches him. To his shock, the man introduces himself as Nun, now a boy. This is the clone of Nun, who has finally become the person she always wanted to be. She thanks Nort for giving her the life she desired, and the two embrace, crying with emotion. Nort asks how she's adjusting to this new life, and Nun explains that since the clone has all of Nun's memories, it hasn't been hard to adjust. She's still doing the same work she was passionate about, researching 3D printed hearts. Nort then asks why, after all this, Nun isn't working on human cloning. Nun responds that they haven't reached the point of directly cloning humans yet. They're starting by making different organs instead. Nun also reveals that she's informed the International Space Station, ISS, about her cloning and gender change, and the ISS has accepted her. But Nun has even bigger news. She's going on a lunar mission to help establish a colony on the moon. Hearing this, Nort becomes upset and asks if that means they will never see each other again. Nun assures him, saying she will always live in his memories. They share one final hug, filled with emotion. Nun then tells Nort that she wants to use his name because he gave her this new life. Nort agrees and they part ways, each embarking on their own paths. The story ends, showing how their love endured through everything. This is a story about true love, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.